Comment from YouTube.
I
All
guess
right.
my insight would probably be they don't have any because everything seems to be pretty scarce right now. So, but stuff's starting to trickle in. So I think we're on the upswing with that issue because we got some of our Lake Master stuff in for the southeast. So,
Yeah,
and we had a bunch ordered and hadn't come in, and they just started trickling in. So
pretty much everybody I'm talking to in the marine, well, really the outdoor industry as a whole, is they're out of stuff. Talking to kayak manufacturers, and they're saying October, November at the soonest. I know trolling motors have been really hard to find.
and apparently bait out there somewhere is hard to find, but we got plenty of it here
we
that
we
we've been
do.
getting in and selling. So
Yeah, we've been getting but yeah, Don, that's probably the if you're having trouble finding something from Hummingbird, that's it's slowly trickling in. And keep in mind that I think Yamaha isn't even back up to 100% production.
no,
Skeeter's still working.
because
Um,
anytime somebody gets in, the virus, they have to do a. Sometimes I do a complete shutdown for so many days until they get test results back. So we have to.
yep.
I mean, we've been pretty fortunate
And when you combine all of that with the insane demand that has occurred this past season, um,
because everybody's been off.
yep, everybody's off. Everybody's getting out on the water, which is awesome. I guess it keeps you guys busy down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I will. I'll read off a question that we had on our ZXR 21 video. I know we had a few questions about when we were going to get something out on the ZXR. We had that ZXR 21 here for a very, very, very short time. It sold very quickly, and we managed to squeak out a little video, put that on YouTube the other day. Got a question on what prop are you guys running on the ZXR 20s? And he's got a 25 on his, and he's saying he's seems sluggish out of the hole. You got any?
Well, everybody's recommending. I mean, pretty much across the board in the summertime, most of those boats are running 25s. And I've talked about this pretty much every week about the slight inconsistencies of like the SHO prop. We've seen some of those that one of them might be the boat might run one and it's running 72 or 73, and then they change the prop. Like something happens to that prop, they buy a new prop, and it drops it down to 70, 71. And I've actually had one guy take his SHO prop off, put FXP prop on a boat that normally doesn't run good with FXP, and pick that 4 miles an hour. So there's no real good answer other than sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you get one that's not quite as good. And it seems like the ones that are slower on top end have a tendency of being a little bit worse on coming out of the hole.
Gotcha.
But be sure that you're letting the motor warm up to at least 118 degrees, because if that engine's not warm enough, it'll be a dog out of the hole anyway.
All right.
It'll be running too rich.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ZXR 20 specifically, that hole, I don't think we've really had an opportunity to play with it versus any of the FXR holes. All very similar setup, but so in terms of real specifics, I don't know. I'm kind of anxious to see when we get more ZXRs in and we can spend a little more time with them.
Yeah.
All right, along the same, we'll keep it in line with the prop question. I saw this one over in the Skeeter group. Looking for recommendations for a 25 pitch for a 2016 FX20.
Same thing. Yeah.
Same thing.
Same thing.
All right.
I agree with you, Don. But keep in mind, those SD cards are made in China. It's hard to get stuff out of China right now.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I don't know.
It'd be nice if they let you just purchase it, in the cloud somewhere, and you could just hit a button, and it would download it straight to your unit. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be.
I mean, makes sense to me. That's kind of what Lowrance does with their update. You can update a unit with Wi-Fi on the Lowrance. I don't know if you can put mapping on there, but that'd be nice if you can just hit the $19.95 button or the $100 button. And that's the map I want, or this is the lake I want, and just download it. It's kind of like you do video games these days.
Yeah. Hey, Hummingbird, if you're listening,
get on it.
That might be. I mean, you'd save on packaging.
Everybody's going digital. You might as well fall in line.
Imagine if you could just do that right from the graph.
Yeah.
And purchase.
Yeah,
keep your credit card on file. You just no.
Buy now.
Maybe we need to. All right.
Next thing you know, we're gonna have ports in our neck, and we can just download it in our brain. Right.
All right. Technical challenges there. Just tie the download to your account. Yep. Well, one day they'll get there, I think. Just a cord to hook in to your unit. Lots of ways to do it. Me being the I guess a little bit more of a tech geek than most. It definitely seems odd that some brands don't take advantage of. But I think a lot of that stuff's coming,
especially now.
And it's shocking. There's still plenty of guys out there that just want to hit a power button on a graph and go use it, and hit a power button and turn it off. So can't get too fancy.
The only thing I used one for when I fished was to see how deep the water was when I was running. That's it.
All right. Well, then we won't do a graphing video with you.
I know a pretty good bit about them. I have to. I just don't. I don't have a fancy graph on the boat that I don't have.
Yeah, that's good.
My last graph was a 332. Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, if we're not going to get more questions, I'm not seeing anything from Facebook other than Nubby or Newbie. And I apologize. This has been kind of a crazy morning. So I was not able to do a ton of prep with a bunch of questions. Are you getting any, you seen any consistent questions coming in down there from customers?
Not really. I mean, I try not to answer the phone too much. I'm too busy working on stuff. This is the only break I get right here. Well, I take 15-minute lunches, and so this is my 30-minute lunch talking to folks. So.
Yeah, I usually.
So if y'all are thinking, why isn't he working on boats and he's talking, and I take my lunch break to talk to you guys to try to, instill a little bit of knowledge your way.
Well, so guys, I guess we'll hang out for a couple more minutes and see. It's amazing as I'm looking at calendar and trying to get ready for videos to make and where we're going. Like, I mean, we're going to be talking winterization here before.
Well, I was going to mention that earlier, but I think we're a little early on that, so we might do that maybe next time.
But there's a lot of that kind of stuff. All right. I ask questions all day long because I know very little anyone used a vinyl wrap on their boat. Curious how long they last.
Yeah, we've got a few sponsored guys that we wrap their boats, and then a lot of the pros that are affiliated with us, they have them all wrapped. I've actually got my truck wrapped with Bucks Island stuff on it, and when I talked to the guy about mine and how to take care of it and how long things were going to last, he said that the sides that aren't in direct sun tend to last, and it can last anywhere from 4 to 5 years, but it's the top surfaces have a tendency to last in only about 3 years because they're getting direct UV. But you can prolong that by putting certain kind of UV protectants on that.
Well, so I'm assuming from your question, Don, that maybe you're thinking about just doing that as a protective measure. Most of, we wrap the stuff, our sponsored guys, I mean, we do that, and the pros do that so they can put all the branding
Right.
on the boat without attaching stickers and all that kind of stuff. There is a level of protection from your your dock scuffs and stuff like that. But the expense of that versus just to protect the boat.
Yeah.
Any thoughts that would be? I mean, they're not cheap for sure.
No, but if you got a newer boat and you're just wanting to protect the, it from, sun wear and getting that chalky look and stuff like that, I would, as far as the best bang for the buck, I would think about getting it ceramic coated.
Yeah,
because it lasts 2 years at least, and you got to do a little bit of maintenance on it. But I mean, you can throw water on it, spaghetti, whatever you want to, and it just kind of falls off.
Yep,
which is nice.
So we outsource. We've partnered with a local Elite Car Spa, is a car detailing service, and they were doing boats, but now they do all the boats for us, and it's worked out really well. And one of the things they brought in early last year was doing the ceramic coating, and it's legit. I mean, it's very impressive.
And I hadn't seen the long-term effects of it, as far as 10 years down the road, because we're just now getting into it. But if you reapplied it every 2 years, I don't think you would have much of a sun fade on the boat. So,
well, all right, Doug, live in South Louisiana and fish all year long.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're good.
Yeah, some of the more southern. I mean, we got plenty of folks around here that, particularly in the fishing space.
The fishing guys here, a lot of them fish in the wintertime, so they don't have to worry about it too much. Now, Tim Hurd, I guess Tim, it depends on if you plan on fishing in the cold weather. If you fish all year long, you don't need to do anything unless you let it sit for, a long period of time. You need to put some stabilizer in the fuel, and we probably need to. I like to tell people to. I'm telling them more and more to bring them in, because the fuel quality is a lot less desirable and it degrades a lot faster. So it's good to put treatment in the fuel, and it's good to check the lower unit to make sure there's no water in it. And it's what I call, we only charge like $75 to do it here on outboard. We just check a few things, make sure there's not water and stuff, re-grease things, and then put treatment in the gas. And it typically helps it last the rest of the wintertime. And it's what I call a real cheap insurance.
Gotcha.
For the wintertime, because people don't realize that you get water inside the oil part of the gear case. If it gets more than about 20%,
okay,
and it freezes, it expands, and it'll actually either push the bearing carrier out the back, which ruins the gear case, or it pops a hole in the side of the gear case. Seen both. And it's not cheap. It's a lot more expensive than the $75 you would have spent.
So Tim, just so for those of y'all that don't know, Tim's got a brand new Skeeter ZX250 that he's using pretty much every day, I think. So he's probably good to just run it.
If he's gonna fish all year long, then there's no issue, as long as it don't sit more than 3 weeks at a time.
I mean, even when it drops down to 12 degrees.
Yeah, I would still get your if you want to swing by, check the gear lube, make sure you don't have any, because you're gonna get fishing line around the prop shaft.
Gotcha.
And if you do that, you're gonna get water in it, and if it freezes and it's the right condition, it's gonna break something.
Of course, around here, for guys that keep their boats in the garage, then they're probably.
I've seen it both ways.
Right.
Garages get cold if it gets cold enough.
Right.
Most people don't have heated garages, so it does stay warmer in there. But I wouldn't put all my money on it.
All right, Cody said best product to use to get the boat registration numbers off ZX250. Do we carry it?
Well, two things, and I can, if you need some, I can get it. But get a plastic razor blade. I know it sounds weird, but they make these little orange things that look like razor blades, but they're just made out of plastic. And you can use those to peel the initial part of the sticker off.
Mm-hmm.
And if it peels off real weird, it's fine. And then we got this stuff it's just a bottle called adhesive remover. and you spray it on there and let it sit for a little bit, and you just start wiping it off, and it'll get some of it off, and then you just do it a few times until all the sticky's off of it, and then you can start over.
All right. Hope that helps. Let's see here. Don, just protective 2002 Warrior. Yeah.
177.
Yeah. Stickers are getting worn. Definitely, if you got a local shop up there that does some of that ceramic coating, it may be worth taking a look at to squeeze all the life you can out of that hole.
Yeah. And then if you can take pictures of those stickers, I'm sure there's you can get like places that do vinyl and stuff like that. A lot of them can make new stickers, flat ones and raised ones too. Maybe something you want to look into to make your boat look a little better.
All right, trim on a Crest Pontoon Classic 200. My trim is bottomed out all the way down. Still seems the front is still up, like it's riding heavy in the rear. This is with 4 people on board. Can't trim up too much or it cavitates.
Okay. Well, on and I know who he is. His son works here, but the lifting. I've seen some of these crests with the lifting struts that they almost act like a bass boat, and the nose lifts up. And I'm not sure. I hadn't looked at his boat, but if it's got lifting struts on it, it's gonna run a little high in the nose. If you've got stuff in your boat, you can disperse the weight a little bit towards the front. But the more weight you put in the front, the more potential it's going to cavitate. Now we can change. I've seen sometimes if it's a 3-log boat, and I'm not sure if his is or not, we can change the motor height to compensate for that a little bit if it's all the way down. I've actually had some of these pontoon boats how they've been able to raise the motor up a little bit to get the nose pushed down, but it won't help the cavitation problem. The best thing to help cavitation on one of those is probably if you run an aluminum prop, is to run a stainless or potentially a different style, because I know some of these boats we had to put soulless props on.
Okay.
And they don't bite quite as much as like the Black Maxes do, but it's sometimes you have to put on there what's available on these. Right now, it's hard to get a prop, so.
All
But
right.
may want to think about putting a stainless steel prop on there, and that might put the nose down a little bit. Let's see.
All right, we got a long
Only
one.
2 log. Okay. Yeah. We'll I'll go down there and put my hands on it and see if I see anything obvious.
All right. This one I think is gonna. Does the backbone have to be terminated on both ends? I have a Simrad GO12. Both ends terminated. I lose bus comm. When I remove one termination, it comes back. Simrad?
Well, probably you have the wrong size terminator. So if you're running, you really only need it needs to be closed off on the end. So if you've got too many T's in the system, you can probably remove a T, and they make a male and a female terminator. So if you use one terminator, you're going to use a 120. If you need to use 2 terminators for whatever reason, you have to use 60s, which equals the 120. If you go above that, it can't communicate right. It's because it needs to see that resistance, and it looks specifically for 120 ohms of resistance. If you go above that and you're running 240, or if you got a 120 in there and you throw a 60 in there or something, it's going to throw the system off. So it sounds like you may need to remove a T for whatever reason, because most of them will terminate with one terminator.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just I'm pretty sure it just has to equal the 120. And then keep in mind, some of the cables that are run through the system can have terminators built into it. And then in that case, you would have to put a weather cap on it to cover it up.
Okay. All right. Let's see what Bass Boat Concepts has to say, you familiar with the black membrane and the bilge area of a new Skeeter ZX250? Will a through-hole GT8 transducer shoot through it?
Oh no!
If not, how would you?
You got to take a hole saw and cut it out. Cut it. You got to be, you know, you got to be careful because you got to start it off, cutting it with a drill bit, and you need your drill bit just barely hanging out, and you got to drill through that, and as soon as you get about 1/8 of an inch into it, you take the drill bit out, and you have to slowly cut it, and then start prying until you get to the bottom, because it won't that starboard they put in there will not read through it. If they got wood in there, some of the older Skeeters had wood in it, will not read through the wood. And I've the wood may be a little easier because you can actually grind it out of the bottom. I've had to do a few that wouldn't read, and some of the Skeeters, man, they put it almost all the way to the back where you can't even find a place without cutting that board out. So, and the board's there to mount stuff on, so you don't drill through the fiberglass. But yeah, you got to remove some of that board and find actual fiberglass, and don't be fooled because some of them are fiberglass over the top, and it looks like it's just fiberglass, but you got to eat through that fiberglass and then get through either the wood or the starboard, and then mount it to the bottom.
Yeah, I imagine that's
it's
if you don't do it a lot, that's a real quick way to put a hole in.
We've had them come from the factory with it mounted on that starboard and had to fix it. So you're not alone.
All right. Let's see. 2002 Super Pro with a 2013 Mercury 250 Pro XS, 14.5 by 25 pitch. Boat is only running 58 on top end at 5,400 RPM. Also, do these motors need to warm up for 5 to 10 minutes?
Yeah, I would definitely at least give it 5 minutes. Being a two-stroke, it didn't take near as long as a four-stroke to warm all the way up. But I've seen a lot of people repower their older boats with a newer motor, and you may have had a Optimax Pro XS before, but when I end up seeing is the cables don't adjust the same. So you adjust the cable to fit that motor, and you're running a hot foot, and you don't adjust the hot foot.
Gotcha.
So I would probably say more than likely you have a hot foot problem, and he's not going wide open throttle. And I've seen him come from the factory misadjusted, doing the same thing. Whole shot's not great, and only running 60 miles an hour and 5,200 RPMs, and then they adjust that bat screw down about an inch, and suddenly they're running 70 something mile an hour.
All right.
Yeah. So I would check that first, and if that doesn't fix it, then you've got something else going on.
Dave, I hope that helps. I am not seeing any more questions pop in here, and we've been going about 25 minutes, and I just had a customer walk in. So, you got any other thoughts or tidbits? Some good questions today.
Bass boat. What a nightmare! I don't know what he means. Oh well,
he's replying to the. He asked the question about the
membrane. That's that guy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is a nightmare. I don't like particularly doing it myself.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with us this morning, and thanks for the questions.
And hi, Mom. I gotta say hi.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, shout out to Mom. But appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and if you got more questions, drop them in the comments. If you're seeing this later on down the road, drop us a comment, and we'll try and get in there and get them answered as quick as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we'll see you guys next week for another Tech Tuesday. Yes. So have a good week. Later, guys.